Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, and a very warm virtual welcome to our Lendflex webinar series 2. My name is Kumi, and I'm absolutely delighted to be your host today. I can emphasize how excited we are at Vint to have each and every one of you here today, and we thank you for taking out your time to honor this invitation. Just before we embark on this journey, let's make this experience even more interactive. As you join us today, please drop a quick comment in the chat and tell us which social media platform you're tuning from. Is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn? Or is it YouTube? We definitely want to know. And also, speaking of social media, if you're not following us on all our major platforms, you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. You can find us on Twitter at Vind Official. That's VEEND, then official. You can also find us on YouTube at that's VEEND HQ. We're not just this is not just a webinar, we're also a community, so you can definitely connect with us to stay updated, share your thoughts, and be a part of this ongoing conversation about sustainable success and growth. Be sure to also share this link with your friends, colleagues, and members of your community, as this session promises to be super insightful and also impactful. Joining me to co-host this wonderful session is my colleague, Omotola. Hello, Omotola. Welcome.
Hi,
Hi,
Kumi, can you hear
Omotola.
me?
Yes, I can.
All right,
Good
it's great to
afternoon.
be on board.
All right, all right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, so Omotola, so just what would be that thing that you would be looking most forward to in today's webinar? If you can share with us.
Oh, it definitely has to be the depth of knowledge that I know will be shared today. Gbenro is someone that has been in the industry for quite a bit, so he definitely will have very interesting stories and really a lot of insightful tips that he can share for anyone that's looking to venture into the startup industry to really just understand how to scale and also balancing that. So it's really going to be very expository. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah. So now speaking about what we're really going to hear about today, the topic is one that's really close to our heart because I think for anyone that's really trying to make it in the startup space, there are a lot of things. It seems like there's so much information going around. But I think one of the things that really needs to be touched on is striking that balance between scalability and profitability, right? You hear those words a lot, just how to scale as a startup, how to scale as a startup, and then you also sort of hear it in the background, like how do you also make profits? So one thing I feel like we're really going to touch on here is just really finding the sweet spot between scaling and also just making profits. But before we go further, I'd like to introduce someone very special for us here at Vind, and I'd like to say to a large extent in the startup ecosystem as well. So we'd like to bring on board Femi Olanipekun, who is the CEO and founder at Vind. Hello, Femi.
Hi everyone.
Hi,
Okay,
Femi.
hi. It's really great to be here. It's really great to be here. Hello everyone. So looking forward to this session. But I think let me just jump the gun here and introduce what Vin is to everyone who doesn't know us yet. Right. So we are an infrastructure that enables financial institutions, merchants, and developers to embed various financial services into various ecosystems in a way that is scalable, right? Compliant and also profitable. So we do this for one, capital providers. Capital providers are banks, insurance company, asset managers, right? Who provide capital to lenders on our platform, and then lenders come to our platform to use our lending as a service product, right? And then the ecosystem partners help drive financial inclusion, right? Embed those financial services into their existing products. Now they don't have to think about raising the capital. They don't need to think about taking part of the risks, right? That's involved in offering these solutions to their customers, right? These solutions can be account numbers from banks. It can be credit, right, from lenders on our platform. So that's a brief of what we are doing. So we are doing this with the goal of improving the credit system, right? Building a credit system for Africa as a whole, right? Today it's still very hard for businesses and consumers to get access to credit, right? So we want to change that, right? So we are bringing the financial institutions with the different places people and the different touch points they frequent, right? In order to make Africa more successful in terms of more successful financially.
Hi,
So
Femi.
looking forward to
Thank you
this
so
session.
much. Yeah, thank you so much for that, Femi. I mean, that was such an insightful and also really, I mean, for people that don't know about Wind, I think that was very, very explanatory. So just so that we can get into it, I'll just do a brief introduction about our amazing speaker today. So if you have not heard of him before, which you should have, by the way, but Gbenro Dara is a Nigerian executive with over a decade of building technology startups across Africa. He is currently the CEO and co-founder of Octamile Inc., a company that aims to make insurance work for insurers, businesses, and their consumers. He is a second-time InsurTech founder, not first time, second time InsurTech founder, with experience in building e-commerce, online marketplace, and fintech companies across Africa, including, yes, Africa's first e-commerce unicorn, Jumia. Without further ado, I'd love to bring Gbenro on stage. Hello, Gbenro, and welcome.
Hi, welcome. Thanks a lot, and thanks for welcoming me. It's good to be on the program.
All right.
Yeah. So should I just go ahead? All right. So I'll just share my screen. 1 second. Great. Please confirm that you can see my screen. So good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to spend some time just sharing my thoughts on the topic of scalability versus cost efficiency. Um, I've chosen to sort of also summarize it, in my own words of how do we navigate the balance for sustainable success as businesses. My name is Gbenro Dara again. I'm the CEO of Octamile. And here's a bit about my background. As previously mentioned, I'm a two-time InsurTech founder, part of founding a unicorn on the continent. Have a background in insurance as well, but spent the last decade building tech businesses on the continent. Some of the brands you see here are some of the brands that you're fortunate to be part of building. I'll start off by posing thought for us. Imagine your business is a plant. How do you balance water is without winning? If you've been a plant mom or a plant dad in the past, you know that too much water, too much sunlight at certain times of the days could be detrimental to the life of that plant. I think that's same way we should think about businesses, that you know growth sometimes could either be too much. Sometimes resources could be burnt in the achievement of growth. So how do we find this balance without to achieve this growth, feed the business with the right nutrients, the right resources, without killing it? Why does this matter today? First of all, to compete in modern markets, you have to have proven business models that are scaled. With a lot of global trade happening, it requires scalable companies to be able to play in these modern markets. Also, in order to ensure long-term viability of businesses, one always has to think of how to acquire more customers, how to scale from current position as a business, and avoid the value of debt, where it's like a stagnation period until the business ends up dying. So ensuring long-term viability is super important for any business, and that's why scalability and the topic of cost efficiency also is super important. Also today, in order to meet customer expectations, this is super important because customer needs are changing very fast. Customer want more faster, better quality, and to be able to achieve or meet the needs of these customers, it's important to be able to scale our businesses at reasonable cost. But finally, the bottom line of any business is really the reason why businesses are built, such that we can make profits, so that we can add value to shareholders.
So I think Gbenro is having some technical challenges with his network. I will just give him a little bit of time while he joins back with us. Sorry about this, guys. Okay, so also, while we're waiting for Gbenro to also join us back, I mean, I've been picking out one or two things from some of the things that he's been talking about. You know, how customer experience is really important when it comes to driving sustainable growth, whether as a company or as a startup also, and also ensuring that businesses are also very, very scalable. Right, I'm really quite excited to see, some of the things that Gbenro would touch on, most especially on the role that technology sort of plays in this particular aspect, right? How businesses can use technology as a driver to reduce cost and also scale at the same time, right? So I don't know if Omotola has one or two things to also add to this while we listen to Josh.
Yes. But before I do, I don't know. I think people can also start dropping comments if they have any in the comment section, and then once Gbenro is done, we'll be able to address them in the during the Q&A segment. So if there's anything Gbenro has mentioned that you'd like some more clarity on, or if there's a question that you came in with the hopes that it was going to be addressed, I think you could also do that in the course of his presentation and just drop the comments, and then once we go into the Q&A session, would address them. So for me, it's like you said, Kumi, it's a very, very strong touch point when you're talking about how customer success really plays in the role customer success plays, and how you manage that experience. Because to be honest, as a startup, the first point of contact anybody has with your brand is mostly through your support team. Hardly ever do you see like a customer engaging directly with the CEO. So yeah, I think it's an important point to note. All right, I think Gbenro and Gbenro is back.
Thanks,
welcome back.
For the breaking transmission. Thanks a lot. Great. So my slide, so my slide is back up. I can see. I was just talking about what scalability is, the capacity to change size or scale. Good scalability eventually is when revenue grows more rapidly and steeply than costs. So through the diagram here, every scaling initiative should think of how can we grow revenue faster than our costs are growing. Cost efficiency. What is cost efficiency? Cost efficiency basically is how do we increase quality of our of what we're delivering to customers, yet while at the same time reducing costs. It's also a component of scaling that, look, if we're going to be able to scale, costs has to scale slower than revenue.
I'm sorry, guys. Gbenro is having some technical challenges with his network. I'm really sorry about that. Okay, so Gbenro will be joining back very shortly. But I mean, just right before he left, he was sharing some really great insight on scalability, trying to explain to us what it means, for organizations to scale their businesses, and also trying to put some sort of definition, around it.
Yeah, well, Kumi, I have a question to you. Do you think it's really? I mean, Mary is going to touch on it, but like, how easy do you think it is for your revenue to be going up like 120 kilometers per hour, and then your cost to just reduce? Like, if you're making more money, shouldn't you be incurring more costs?
So I think for me, one of the most important drivers for me is definitely going to be technology. Like they say now, you don't build in silos anymore. I'm probably sure that there's nothing you're trying to do today that hasn't been done by someone else, or someone else doesn't sort of have the infrastructure that you need to help you scale, what you do. Let's take, for instance, today, at Vintage Q, right? How would power lending and all, right? I mean, if you are a financial institution and you're trying to get into the lending ecosystem, right? So instead of you going to the market yourself, right, the cost of development, right, the cost of going to market and all, you can just leverage on an existing infrastructure, and that would sort of help you to scale faster. So all that time that you will spend in development, right, you can leverage on certain technology tools that can really help you get to the market on time and also gain some market share.
Yeah, that's very profound. I'm also just wondering, what role do you think inflation has in this? Because I know businesses that like 3 months ago the cost of running their business was maybe like 50,000 naira. That cost is about like 150,000 naira now. So how do you think inflation, plays a role in that?
Oh, I mean, inflation right now has now become somewhat like a global phenomenon, right? But I think Gbenro is back. I think we'll just let Gbenro just continue with
All right.
his presentation. Hi, Gbenro, welcome back.
Thanks, guys. I think confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Great. I'll try to quickly run through my slides. Hopefully, I can do this without interruption again. Um, so, business landscape is evolving rapidly, hence why important for us to also scale. And with the changes in technology as well, also important for us to build for scalability. Some quick case studies to think about, like Vin. Um, we just heard CEO of Vin talk about its services opportunities to businesses who want to scale their financial infrastructure, whether it's through integrated expense or payroll and card solution. Most time, these businesses are stuck with not being able to afford the costs of building these solutions in-house. Partnering with companies like Vane as well is one way to adopt scalability in your businesses. That's just an example as well of opportunity of companies who are driving scalable solutions in the market. Similarly to us, Octamile, when embedded insurance and all-in-one insurance claim management solution, where we're helping to automate onboard and risk assessment for insurers, helping them to reduce costs and grow revenues. Because we know that scalability is at the heart of any organization. I think it's a really balancing act, and the key challenge is how do we maintain quality while adapting to change and yet delivering value for customers. So for scalability,
Hi, once again. So I think we're really having some really bad network issues. Uh, we're so sorry. We're so sorry about this. We're still trying to bring him back on board. So please just bear with us, please. We're really sorry about this.
achieve cost efficiency significantly for banks, for financial services providers, for insurers, all sorts of businesses. How do we find common ground of scalability? And efficiency? and those strategies are all aligned across board. So once this happens,
So we're so sorry about this. While Gbenro is trying to get back on board, I mean, I'm really I would have really loved him to, get on here to mostly discuss about, finding that common ground between scalability and then also cost efficiency. I think for me personally, one of the things for me personally is this new attitude within the tech ecosystem around collaboration and also partnership. I think, I mean, like I was saying earlier on, you can't really build in silos, right? What you're probably building, someone else has the right infrastructure for you to sort of help you get to the market as fast as possible. And I think it's just really important that people start to imbibe that spirit of collaboration, having a lot of partnerships, right, between companies and all. I think that's also a very important aspect when it comes to striking the balance between scalability and also cost efficiency. What do you think?
Exactly. I mean, all about partnerships. I mean, I don't think you can exist or you can be comfortable in the startup space, especially as a newcomer. I don't think you can really be comfortable here without any sort of partnerships. And the funny thing is that I think everybody outside the ecosystem just looked at them like, oh yes, you're doing so much, you have everything figured out. And maybe when you get within the system, you realize how heavily reliant it is on partnerships, because you can't, especially when you are starting up, you can't have everything figured out. You may not have all the requisite licenses, you may not have the requisite infrastructure, you may not even have the requisite know-how, right? But when you're able to leverage on certain relationships, and on a scratch my back, I scratch yours basis, so it's not like I bring anything to the table. But once you're able to just sort of really, really leverage on relationships like that, I think it can really help you scale. So you see startups that, even though I know this conversation is a bit dicey, but you see startups that maybe after 5 months of just launching their numbers, and you're wondering, okay, how did you do that, or how are you able to get that many customers? And it's really because they partner with people who have certain kinds of infrastructure that were taking them months, even years to build. So I think that's a very integral part of scaling, right? Knowing when to just say, okay, we don't have this resource. To take us too long to get this, going. It would cost us too much, right? So maybe that's another point where Gbenro was talking about, just balancing the costs as well. Because imagine if you're trying to build a novel technology from scratch, you have to hire a lot of resources that can get that done, and of course that takes your operating expenses through the roof. So I mean, it's a very interesting point. That's an ongoing conversation, but I think Gbenro is back, so we can hear from the real experts how this happened.
All right, Gbenro, welcome back. Hi, Gbenro, can you hear me? Yeah, so I think Gbenro is still having some technical challenges. So I think what I'll just bring Femi on stage, who is the CEO of it, to also maybe share one or two insights on the subject matter. Hi, Femi.
Hi, Kumi.
Yes. I mean, why we wait for Gbenro. So, I mean, just also share your own insight, as regarding scalability and also cost efficiency. I mean, what do you think are the industry best practices that businesses can currently sort of leverage on to strike this balance for sustainable growth?
All right. So, as a tech-enabled business, right, you realize quickly that when you are building, the cost of infrastructure alone can accelerate, right, and be one of your largest expense, right. So, even though you are a tech business, which is meant to be super scalable, you will realize quickly that the cost of that scalability, right, it's very, very expensive, right? Talking from experience, now let's say you were a really small business who used to serve, let's say, 1,000 customers monthly, and then you found this new product, right, that can enable you to serve 100,000 customers, right? So you keep on getting these customers. Now, if you're not careful enough to find a way to get revenue from those customers, you realize that you're scaling, but your cost is increasing exponentially with that scale, right? So my approach for finding a balance is using a data-driven approach, right? Always check your numbers, right? Check your revenue, check the percentage, your take rate from that revenue to see if it really makes sense, right? Now, I believe some scaling can be strategic, right? But first, you need to know where you are. You need to know how much you have in your bank, right? So you first of all need to check your data, right? Make decisions based on that data, either to put some customers in a particular product that you will launch later, right? So that some of those customers that are much more profitable can pay for the resources that you are using right now. Now, another approach is using an elastic approach for your infrastructure resources. Now, a lot of tech business uses resources like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, right? Now, when using those resources, the more you use it, the more you pay, right? Now, there's a way where you can say, oh, you want to create all the resources you want to serve 1 million customers right now, today, but you don't actually have 1 million customers, right? Now, this platform offers different ways for you to scale in an elastic way, right? In such a way that the more you use the platform, right, the more it automatically scales for you, right? So you have to learn that approach also in order to scale, right? In order to continue to serve more customers as you grow and to costs, right? Like Gbenro said, one of the main goals for starting a business is profitability, right? Revenue. You want to ensure that you are increasing the value to your customers and your shareholders, right? So that has to be your priority, right? With customer satisfaction, right? Now you have to also continue to optimize your processes, right? There are some processes that just doesn't scale, right? I was having a discussion with a couple of people a while ago, right? Talking about how onboarding can be a bottleneck, right, to scaling, right? So everything from getting your customers, right, from even advertising to your customers to the point where they become a returning customer, right, to your retention funnel, right? You have to ensure that it's very optimized, right? You have to continue to cut down the time it takes, right, for them to get to the next stage, right? So you have to continue to ensure that your process becomes leaner and much more streamlined. Right? You have to have a system in place, right? So you have to continue to optimize your products, right? Now, while optimizing, you quickly realize that you need to invest in automation, right? So previously, you started with the lean method, right? Having people doing things manually, right? Now, for example, what we really excel at being where lenders who have been really heavy on manual process, right? Manual loan origination processes, manual decision processes and underwriting, right? Even collection, right? people to the street, right? We help them automate those processes. Now that automation alone helps sales cost, right? Now you can free more hands in your business so that they can focus on other things, right, that will ensure that your customers are satisfied. It can be as simple as calling each customer up every day, right, asking if they are okay, right? It might be that's a job role. So automation is also one big thing you have to invest. You have to invest in. So those are my take on maintaining balance between cost efficiency, right, and scalability. Over to you, Komi.
All right, thank you so much, Femi. Thank you so much, Femi. I don't know if Gbenro is back, but maybe before Gbenro gets back on, I mean, I would also like to ask on the risks side of things, because I also know when you're also trying to scale, right, there's that risk that you know, I mean, there are a lot of potential risks around you trying to scale. So I mean, how would you also advise, you know, customers, businesses rather, right, in terms of trying to scale and also ensuring that they also have the appropriate risk management framework, right, to make them financially sound?
All right. So every business has their own inherited risks, right? They are born with certain risks, right? So if you're a regulated business, right, number one, you have that regulatory risk. You have to ensure that while you scale, you comply with every regulation that applies to you out there, right? You have technology risks, right? You even have the sovereign risks, right, of the country you currently run in. Right. So my advice would be always keep an eye out, right, for those things that might either make your business impossible to run, right? One big one would be the regulatory one, right? Ensure that you are compliant. Ensure you are compliant with everything regulatory, right? Now, ensure you do KYC, right? In order to favor scaling, I've seen some people do some interesting thing around not doing proper KYC to their customers just because it reduces the amount of time. So there are products out there that helps automate that process today, right? Then where you can automatically verify CAC, government issue certificates, right? You can verify BVN and also social security numbers, right? So that exists today. So leverage those technology, right? It's so, like I said, when scaling, cost can also increase. So you also have to look at how much you're going to spend on those technology to automate that process for you, right? So my advice is just find out what applies to you regulatory wise, right? I know as a startup, you might be serving 10 customers, 100 customers. It really doesn't matter. But when you start serving a lot of customers, a lot of eyes starts looking into the business, right? You get a lot of attention from both customers and other people out there. So you need to ensure, right, that you figure out the risks that apply to your business and also create some process to mitigate those risks.
All right, thank you so much, Femi. Thank you so much for those insightful analysis that you've shared with us. So I think Gbenro is back, so I'm just going to add Gbenro back on stage. Hi, Gbenro. Welcome back.
Thanks, Komi. Thanks a lot. So I stopped at scaling myths and realities. I'll just try to run through my final slides. So most people think that scaling guarantees success. No, it doesn't. It's not always the bigger, the better. And scaling does not equate to immediate profit. It can be done efficiently as well. Scaling is expensive. It does cost money. But investments. Another myth is that scaling is equal to
Um, Hi. We're still having some really bad network challenges here. Hi, Gbenro. All right, I'm just going to bring Omotola back on stage. Um, Hi, Omotola.
Hi, Kumi.
Yes. I mean, okay, so I mean, network issues are also
Hello.
also part of the scalability idea. So
Yeah. To
we,
be
we,
honest,
we really need
um,
we really need someone. We need someone to help us solve that problem in this country because I mean, just look at how Gbenro is really struggling with this network where he is. So I think Gbenro is
yeah.
back. Hi, Gbenro. I said we need to solve the problem for network. We need to solve
Honestly,
problems for
super
network
embarrassing.
issues.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
If you can
So I think
continue.
that was really my last slide that I was showing. Um, I was just wrapping up there that the future of scalability and efficiency is super bright, and we need to leverage more technology, AI, and automation to drive scalability and efficiency opportunities in all our organizations. So that's like last slide for me. I know it was a bit not hard to follow because of the unstable internet, but I'm hoping that slides can also be shared with participants. So thanks a lot, Kumi.
All right, thank you so much, Gbenro. Thank you so much. But I mean, I have some questions of my own. But again, I mean, before I go on and ask some of my own questions, just to let some of our listeners and some of our viewers know that you can drop your questions in the chat box if you have any questions, if you have any contribution to also make to the current topic, you can drop them in the chat box so I can definitely share them with Gbenro here. So, I mean, I was also trying to I mean, if you can help us share and some insight on some of the potential risks that could also be associated with rapid growth and also how businesses can sort of navigate some of these challenges while making sure that they also stay very financially sound.
Yeah, so I think one big risk is deviating from the core value proposition that we're delivering to customers. Sometimes when we're in the bid to grow very fast, lots of processes are failed, value to the customer is reduced. So it's I think that's one risk that inevitably happens. But also growing too fast that the company can actually handle. Sometimes it becomes chaos and things fall apart. That it now becomes an unsustainable growth. I think those are two top risks that come to mind. One should always consistently focus on the metrics, have a like clear goals set out, and periodically checking these metrics to make sure that one, there's a saying that whatever you can't measure, you can't manage. So being able to manage this effectively, I think is the beginning and the core of doing this properly, of scaling properly.
All right, all right, all right. Thank you so much, Gbenro. Now, also, in the context of our theme, scalability versus cost efficiency, can you also share some insights, into how insurance solutions, particularly those ones offered by your company, can also help businesses expand, while managing cost effectively?
Yeah, so insurance penetration today is super low in Nigeria. We all know maybe less than 2%. Most of the insurance policies being sold are more to corporate businesses and leaving out a large chunk of people. What we do is help the existing insurers and non-insurance businesses who want to embed insurance or launch insurance programs, whether it's from purchase to claims. We enable them to be able to launch these products without having any engineering resources. So it's like we take care of all that whole process, all that headache, see us as an extension of their product and engineering team. So those two things allows them to move very fast. Within a matter of 2 weeks, we can launch any insurance product, whether it's from onboarding, risk assessment to claims, and also at a fraction of the cost that will normally require them to do this if they were going to build a team in house, or take an off the shelf solution. So with our products, with our solutions, we're able to help them to scale to a much wider audience, and thereby reducing the uninsured population in the market.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, Gbenro. And I also, talking about insurance too. How do you think businesses can leverage insurance products to sort of strike, the right balance between scalability and also cost efficiency? Are there practical steps that you can share with us that they can probably take to achieve this financial equilibrium?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, businesses are prone to a bunch of various risks depending on the type of business. And it's important to identify those risks and find where insurance can be used as a tool to mitigate the impact of those risks. That alone in itself is a large exercise that, from people to operations, there are a bunch of risks that will occur. And as you scale, those risks become more obvious, those skills become more fatal. So it's important to make sure that you have a healthy workforce. You're complying from government point of view. As you scale, you're becoming more visible. So also important to think more around compliance. So I think there are a lot of opportunities that insurance can bring to reduce the risk of businesses failing as they grow. One example in the lending space, which you are, is as businesses disburse more loans, default rates typically tend to increase. So insurance helps to reduce those defaults, those instead of defaults. Like if they happen, credit life insurance, like a partnership with Vin, lenders can add credit life insurance automatically to the loans that they disburse, which means that if some bad thing happens to the lender, whether it's an accident or critical illness or even death, that loan eventually is repaid. So as businesses scale, always good to think about how insurance can help to reduce risk.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Vera. So we have a question here. I think when you were presenting, you mentioned that scaling doesn't have to be expensive, right? So they're asking if we can shed more light on that. And, how do we scale to get qualified and skilled resources, right? When most of these things they cost a lot of money. So if you can shed more light on what you mean by scaling doesn't need to be expensive.
Yeah, so I think first of all, from culture mindset of the team, from top down, CEO to everybody in the organization, that has to be like built in. That scaling can be done efficiently, and we must always seek ways to be able to find these efficient ways to scale our products. But I talked about measuring very well. So cost of acquisition is a very important metric for any business, right? To think who's thinking profitably. So it's important to have a sort of a benchmark in terms of a target in terms of cost of acquisition, or at least measure this historically and make sure that it's in control, not just
So I think Barry is having some network challenges again. I mean, we really need someone to help us solve this particular challenge in this country right now. So I think with this, we'll definitely come to the end of the Q&A session. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to our esteemed person, which is Gbenro, for sharing this interesting insight with us. Thank you so much, Gbenro. So I'll just yield the ground to Motola. Over to you, Motola. Thank you.
I was saying that we need someone to disrupt the internet space, internet as a service, and just sort of But I mean, it's one of the things that really affects everyone. I don't think anybody is not touched. I've gone for a massive event and then they just took the lights and you're like, ooh. So but thank you so much everyone for joining in. Again, like Kumi said, we apologize for the disruptions. But we hope that you were able to glean some very important parts of what was shared. I think between the one-on-one conversation myself and Kumi had, from the things that the insights that Femi shared, and also really from all the things that Gbenro was able to really just share with us while he was on, I think a lot could really just be summarized from it in terms of just finding that balance, ensuring that you're not prioritizing the cost over revenue, and the revenue isn't growing faster than the cost, to be honest. I actually had to take some notes because even the few parts of the slide that I saw were really, really impactful. So there's a lot that I think was shared in terms of just knowing how to strike that balance, and just also ensuring that your business is growing at the pace it can grow at, despite whatever growing teeth challenges you may encounter. So I think Gbenro also said that the slides will be available, so we'll try and get that circulated so that if you would like to just look, just go through some of the information you put together for your own digestion later, you can do that. But we would like to say a massive thank you to everyone. Thank you so much, Femi, for sharing some of your some wealth of knowledge. Thank you to the VIN team for putting this up, and we'll definitely have a lot more coming up when it comes to knowledge sharing. So if you haven't followed us, if you haven't connected with us on social media, I'll suggest you do that so that you can always stay up to date on our programs, our events, and all these kind of sessions. We are looking to really give audience to very seasoned and experienced professionals who, in spite of whatever challenges may come up, who have the wealth of knowledge they can share in terms of their own experience when it comes to building a startup in Nigeria and outside Nigeria, right? For us at Vind, we are always committed to creating a safe space for people to grow, to learn. And yes, if you'd like to learn anything more about what we do here, or if you're interested in our products, if you're interested in some of our service offerings, you can always send us an email. We are quick to respond, and we're always open to new partnerships. Femi, would you like to have some final words before we go off, or I think we can close for the day?
All right, thank you, Homotola. It's been a really exciting section, right? And I think talking about scalability, it's a really, really broad topic that I feel just an hour won't be enough to talk about, right? Because different business have different use cases. There are different ways to scale. But in the following sessions, right, I hope we are going to keep this topic again, right, and do it justice. So thank you everyone for joining.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Kumi.
Thank you so much. All right, thank you so much, Femi. As we part ways today, let's not lose this connection, right? You can stay updated on our future events, our discussions, and also insights. Please follow us on all our social media platforms. You can connect with us on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and also YouTube. On Twitter, you can find us at Vind Official. That's VEEND Official. And on Instagram, you can also find us at Vind HQ, that's VEEND HQ. You can also visit our website, that's www.vindhq.com. gbenro.com, right, to get more insight about some of our services and also our value offering. Now, we would also love to hear your thoughts and your feedback on today's session. If you found this webinar valuable, or you have any suggestions for us, please don't hesitate to share it on your own social media channels, and be sure to tag Vint. Let us definitely know how you're doing. Finally, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Kumi, and on behalf of the entire Vint team, goodbye until next time. Stay curious, stay driven, and stay connected. Thank you so much.